Ever felt that gut punch when things suddenly change? Maybe a project at work gets completely turned upside down, or I don't know, a routine you relied on just vanishes, and you're just left standing there wondering what just happened. That moment where the ground kind of shifts beneath your feet. It's a pretty universal feeling, isn't it? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a powerful little parable that speaks right to this feeling. Who moved my cheese?
Yeah.
An amazing way to deal with change in your work and in your life, by Spencer Johnson and Kenneth Blanchard. For anyone who knows it, it seems so simple on the surface, but wow, it's got layers.
It really does. A deceptively simple is the perfect way to put it. At its heart, it's this story about four characters. They're navigating a maze and they're searching for cheese.
Mhm.
And these aren't just random words, right? The cheese is this brilliant metaphor for, well, pretty much anything you desire or value in life. Could be a good job, a relationship, money, health, even just, peace of mind.
Right. Whatever cheese means to you.
Exactly. And the maze, that's just where you look for your cheese. It
Right.
could be the company you work for, your family, maybe your community, basically your environment.
Okay. So our mission today isn't just to retell the story. We want to dig into the truths, the actionable insights this short book offers about handling change. We'll look at the characters, their journey, which can be pretty funny sometimes, actually, and importantly, how people have really used these ideas to navigate their own mazes, with less stress and maybe find more success.
Let's really unpack this thing. So at the heart of it all, these four characters, could you walk us through who they are? Because I think listeners will probably see bits of themselves in them pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely. You've got two mice, Sniff and Scurry,
Huh.
and then two little people, Hem and Haw. And yeah, each one really embodies a different way we humans tend to react to change. So Sniff, the name kind of gives it away. He's the one who sniffs out change early on. He's alert, notices the small shifts before they become big problems.
The early detector. Exactly. And Scurry. He just scurries into action. Doesn't overthink, just moves once change is obvious. Very instinctual, those two.
Okay, simple, indirect.
Right. Then you have the little people, Hem and Haw. They're a bit more complex, like us. Hem, basically resistance personified, denial. He's afraid of change, thinks it'll only make things worse. He just wants everything to stay the same.
Hold on tight.
Really tight. And then there's Haw. Haw's interesting because he eventually learns to adapt. He starts out resistant, just like Hem, but gradually figures out that changing might actually lead to something better. He's the one who makes that journey.
From stuck to unstuck.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter how you first react to change, you'll probably recognize yourself in one of them, maybe even bits of all of them at different times. That's part of its appeal, right? It gives us this simple way to talk about something potentially, scary.
It really does. So the story kicks off, and all four of them have found this amazing stash of cheese at Cheese Station C. They're happy. They've found their spot. You could say that. They set up routines. Everything revolves around this cheese.
But even then, their approaches are different, right? Sniff and Scurry, they stay sharp.
Totally. They get there early every day, check things out, notice if anything's different. And, crucially, they keep their running shoes tied around their necks.
Ready to go.
Always ready. Hem and Haw, though. Well, they get comfortable. Very comfortable. Complacent, even.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. They start taking the cheese for granted like it'll be there forever. They move their homes closer. Their whole social life is built around Cheese Station C. They genuinely feel they deserve this cheese. They feel secure.
That sounds familiar. That feeling of security based on things staying the same.
Right. And what's fascinating and maybe a bit cautionary is how their comfort turns into what the book calls an arrogance of success.
Arrogance of success. Tell me more about that.
It's that trap,
Yeah.
where past success or current comfort makes you blind to small changes happening right under your nose. The little signs that maybe your cheese supply isn't as secure as you think.
Like a company sticking to an old model while the market shifts.
Exactly. Or maybe someone relying only on their old network, not making new connections. It's often not a sudden disaster, but this slow drift, assuming things won't change.
Until they do. Because one morning they show up and bam! Cheese Station C is totally empty.
Gone. Vanished. Poof. No cheese.
Wow. The moment of truth.
It really is, and it throws that question right back at us, doesn't it? When your cheese disappears, a job, a relationship, or whatever, how do you react? Do you adapt quickly, or do you just kind of freeze, hope it comes back?
And we see two totally different reactions play out immediately. Sniff and Scurry.
No hesitation. Shoes on, back into the maze looking for new cheese. Simple, action-oriented.
They didn't waste time analyzing why it was gone.
Nope. But Hem and Haw, oh, they are floored, utterly unprepared. Hem just starts yelling, "Who moved my cheese?" Just
Yeah.
pure shock, anger, wanting things back the way they were.
Total disbelief.
And Haw's right there with him initially, paralyzed. They just stand there hemming and hawing, literally, ranting about how unfair it is, even trying to chisel into the wall thinking the cheese must be hidden.
Wasting precious time and energy.
Exactly, while the mice are already out there exploring.
So him stays stuck, just railing against the injustice at the empty station.
Yeah, pretty much. He stays there, getting weaker, more frustrated, blaming everything and everyone. But Ha slowly starts to shift. It begins internally. He starts just imagining Sniff and Scurry finding new cheese.
Just visualizing it.
Just visualizing a better possibility. It's a tiny first step, but it's something.
But it's not easy for him, right? I remember that part. He really struggles.
Oh, definitely not easy. It's so relatable. He's scared. Scared of getting lost in the maze, scared of the unknown, scared of looking stupid. And the familiar, even an empty familiar, feels safer somehow.
And having him right there, complaining constantly, probably didn't help.
Not at all. Hem's negativity just reinforces all those fears. Makes taking that first step out incredibly hard. It's a real internal battle. Our own thoughts can be the biggest walls, can't they?
Absolutely. So what's the turning point for Ha?
It's this fantastic moment when he finally starts laughing at himself. He sees the absurdity of it all standing there, getting weaker, expecting the old cheese to magically reappear. He realizes, you know what? They're never putting yesterday's cheese back. Time to find new cheese.
That's self-awareness, laughing at his own predicament.
Yes, that's the key. That ability to step back, see the humor, maybe the folly in being stuck, that gives him the courage to finally venture out.
And as he goes, he starts writing things on the wall, right? The handwriting on the wall.
He does, these little nuggets of wisdom he picks up along the way, and they really capture the core lessons.
Let's talk about those themes. The first big one seems to be about just accepting reality and letting go.
Definitely. He writes, change happens, they keep moving the cheese, it's just a fact of life, you can't argue with it.
And then that other realization, the old cheese smelled bad anyway. That's kind of profound, isn't it? Looking back with clearer eyes.
It is. It's acknowledging that maybe what you lost wasn't perfect anymore. Maybe it was time for a change, even if you didn't choose it. Makes letting go easier.
Okay, so acceptance first. What's next? Seems like fear is a huge theme.
Oh, massive. He directly confronts it by asking himself that powerful question, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
That cuts right through it.
It really does. It reframes everything. It's not just about being brave. It's about realizing fear itself is often the real prison, maybe worse than whatever you're actually facing. And he discovers when you move beyond your fear, you feel free. That feeling of liberation that comes just from taking action.
So it's not about not feeling fear, but moving despite it.
Precisely. And then the third big theme seems to be about taking action, looking forward.
Yeah, he writes things like, movement in a new direction helps you find new cheese. It sounds obvious, but when you're stuck.
It's revolutionary. And he uses visualization proactively. Imagining myself enjoying new cheese before I find it leads me to it. He's mentally rehearsing success.
And practical stuff too, like the faster you let go of old cheese, the sooner you find new cheese.
Right.
Less time wasted mourning, more time searching.
Right, and understanding the risk of inaction. It is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. Staying put is actually the dangerous option.
And finally, that mental shift. Old beliefs do not lead you to new cheese. You have to change your thinking to change your results.
Exactly. It's a whole mindset overhaul. He learns the fear built up in his head was way worse than the reality of the maze. Just moving, even uncertainly, gave him strength. He gets it. Nothing gets better until you change. The change has to start inside.
And eventually, spoiler alert, he finds it, right?
He does. After navigating the maze, learning these lessons, he rounds a corner and finds Cheese Station N, brimming with new cheese, even types he'd never seen before.
And who's already there?
Sniff and Scurry, of course, well-fed, looking like they've been there a while.
Figures.
And Haw's reaction isn't bitterness, it's joy. He makes a toast. Hooray for change. He's fully embraced it.
That's a great culmination of his journey. Now, the book doesn't just end with the story. It includes this discussion part, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
people talk about how it applies to them.
Yeah, that's a really valuable section. It moves from parable to practice. You hear from classmates who heard the story, Michael tells it, and they share their own
Look,
experiences.
Carlos with his job change.
Exactly. And Nathan, whose family business got hammered by big competitors, they both admit pretty openly that they were like him at first. Resistant, scared. Nathan even cops to that arrogance of success, thinking their way was the only way until it wasn't.
It shows how common that hem reaction is, even if we don't like admitting it.
Totally. There's that bit where Michael asks the group, how many here are afraid of change? And like one hand goes up tentatively.
Right.
But then he asks, okay, how many here think other people are afraid of change? And boom, almost every hand shoots up.
Uh-huh. Classic. Easier to see it in others.
Isn't it just? We recognize the pattern elsewhere, but admitting our own fear or resistance is tough.
Jessica's story about the encyclopedia company is pretty stark, too.
Oh, yeah. Sticking to their old door-to-door sales model, high prices, refusing to put their content on a computer disk because their old cheese, their sales force, their history felt so solid.
Until a competitor adapted, put everything on one disk, and basically made them obsolete overnight. Ouch.
A painful lesson in clinging too long to old cheese.
And then Nathan says something really insightful. Maybe we should move our own cheese.
Yes, that's a huge leap. Not just reacting when change happens to you, but proactively initiating change yourself, being the agent of change in your own life or work.
Taking control of the maze, in a way.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift from victim to creator.
And Michael explains how he used the story in his own company. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, he shifted from just managing problems to actively painting a picture of new cheese, creating a compelling vision of the future that got people excited about moving towards it. He identified the different types. He encouraged the sniffs to look ahead and update the vision, empowered the scurries to take quick action.
What about the hems and haws?
Well, for the hems, they tried to show them the benefits of changing, explaining why it was necessary, but he admits if they just couldn't or wouldn't adapt, they were sadly let go for the health of the whole team.
Tough, but sometimes necessary.
And the haws, the ones who were initially hesitant but willing to learn, they were crucial. They helped make the vision practical, kept things grounded, and importantly, helped maintain a sense of humor during the transition.
That sense of humor seems key for Haw's journey, too.
Absolutely. And Michael said one of the biggest impacts was changing the peer pressure. Instead of people quietly resisting or grumbling, the shared language of the story meant no one wanted to look like him.
Huh. That's brilliant. It makes talking about resistance less confrontational, almost playful.
Exactly. It gave them a safe, non-threatening way to discuss change, encourage adaptation, and speed things up.
And it wasn't just about work, right? People applied it personally.
Yeah, that comes through strongly. People reflected on relationships, parenting styles, even big life changes like leaving the military. They realized sometimes the new cheese isn't about leaving a situation entirely, but about changing your behavior, your old cheese way of operating within that situation. Adapting your approach can make all the difference.
That's a really important nuance. It's not always about finding a totally new place. Sometimes it's about finding a new way. Okay, this all sounds incredibly effective for motivating people, and clearly it struck a chord. But, I have heard the criticism sometimes that maybe it oversimplifies things. Like it puts all the onus on the individual to adapt, potentially ignoring bigger systemic issues that make change hard or unfair. Is that a fair critique?
That's a really valid point, and yeah, it's a critique. You hear about parables like this sometimes. The book definitely simplifies reality. I mean, it is a fable. It doesn't dive deep into, say, complex economic forces or really toxic organizational cultures where individual adaptation might feel impossible or even insufficient.
Right. Sometimes the maze itself feels rigged.
It can certainly feel that way, but I think the book's power and maybe its intention lies in focusing on what the individual can control, which is primarily their internal response, their mindset, their willingness to face fear, their choice to act or not act. It doesn't necessarily say individual change solves all the systemic problems, but it strongly argues it's the necessary starting point for navigating them. You can't always control the maze, but you can control how you run through it, so to speak.
So it simplifies to empower, giving people a tool for their own mindset first.
That's how I read it, yeah. It gives you a framework for managing your own reaction, which is often the biggest hurdle anyway.
Okay, that makes sense. So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive into Who Moved My Cheese really mean for you listening right now? It seems like a clear reminder. Change is constant. It's coming. whether you see it yet or not.
Yeah, and we've seen the value in trying to be a bit like Sniff and Scurry. Stay alert, notice the small things, be ready to act quickly, but also, crucially, embracing that journey of awe.
Right. Overcoming the fear, learning to maybe laugh at ourselves when we get stuck, and always looking for new possibilities, combining that foresight with courage.
The story really pushes you to ask that question Ha asked himself. What would I do if I weren't afraid? And to remember his realization, it is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. Staying stuck, hoping things revert, that can actually be the riskiest move of all.
The illusion of safety in inaction.
Exactly. And think about Ha's handwriting on the wall. He wrote it down, hoping maybe it would help him see the light, right? He shared his wisdom.
But him had to choose to read it.
Precisely. Him had to choose to see it, to believe it, and crucially to act on it himself. No one else could make that leap for him. The decision to move, to adapt. That's always personal. It's an inside job.
So maybe the ultimate lesson here isn't just about finding the next block of cheese. Maybe it's recognizing that the journey itself, the adventure of searching, the learning, the growth you get from navigating the maze, maybe that is its own reward.
I like that. The ability to adapt, to embrace change, to keep learning. Perhaps that's the real new cheese, the one you can always carry with you no matter what the maze throws your way.